Okay, welcome everyone to another episode of Women of Color in Business podcast. Today we have another beautiful and brilliant Black woman entrepreneur with us today, here to candidly share her journey and what she does as a business with us. So I will begin by allowing her to introduce herself and her business.
Yes. First, let me just say thank you so much, Lynette, for inviting me on. I'm really, really happy and honored to be here. I am Candice Ramsey. I am the founder and owner of Mahogany Coaching and Consulting. And what I do, I'm basically an Enneagram coach. I am a leadership development coach. Um, and a meditation teacher. And so, I help women. Predominantly, I work with women who work in male dominated environments and they find themselves feeling as if maybe they have to silence their voice or
Mm,
maybe they feel stuck in their roles or and they just need somebody to help them really dig deep into some of their strengths, their personality, and coach them through how to make that shine in a world where, it's easy to have our light dimmed if we're not careful.
right, right. Okay, I love that. And what was I guess the motivation behind you starting your business and particularly this kind of business.
Right. Yeah. So the motivation behind me starting Mahogany was actually my own career trajectory. I found, I wouldn't say that I was working necessarily in a male dominated environment, but what I did find, and just a little, let me give you a little bit of background, a little bit of context.
Hmm.
I've done quite a bit in my career. I'm an Army veteran. When I left the service, my first bachelor's degree is in finance. So naturally, I went into a finance role, and I realized that I didn't necessarily love that, for several reasons.
Hmm.
And then I started doing consulting, and consulting was fine. It was, I was able to do different projects and work with different companies,
Hmm.
but it didn't feel like home.
Mm.
And it felt as if I had to work just a little bit harder to be equal to some of my peers. And there were so many things that was going on inside of me that I didn't realize was at conflict
Mm.
with my career. And as a consultant, I was an organizational development consultant. And, for any of your listeners who may not know what that is, we go into organizations and we diagnose challenges that they may have and put forth some solutions. And
Okay.
within a lot of that work, we facilitate a lot of workshops and do things like the Myers-Briggs and strengths finders and emotional intelligence and all of those types of tools.
Hmm.
And in order to administer those tools, naturally, I would have to go through them myself, learn how the tools work with a coach myself. And I started to have a bit of an aha moment
Mm.
where, all the things started to come together. Why my different fields that I've worked in didn't feel like home for me. I
Mm.
was very good at what I did. I was very competent, but it just did not feel like I was fulfilled. I was satisfied, and I wasn't doing the work that I was put on this earth to do.
Mm.
And yeah, so that was a bit of the aha moment for me, and that's when I actually went and got certified as a coach. I did not immediately launch my business. I stayed in corporate for quite a while, and I did my business as I think most of us do, as a side hustle. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
I think a lot of women business owners, Black women business owners, we always start as a side hustle first.
Hmm.
And once I was good and positioned, which is what I was waiting for, I have older children. They're in their 20s now. So, part of it was raising children, taking care of a family, and all of those things. And when I realized, my children are grown now, they can be self sufficient. Um, I'm divorced, so it's just me and the dog. So I said, now's the time. There is never really a right time to launch a business. You never feel right. You just
Mm.
have to go out there and you have to do it, and you have to master some of those mindset challenges. But
Mm.
I think at the foundation. Mahogany was started from my own journey. And I
Mhm.
wanted to be able to help other women like me who may feel like me and not know why they keep hitting a brick wall. And I just wanted to be able to shine a light on that and let them know that there's a reason why you don't feel like this role or this career
Right.
path is necessarily for you. And the work I do spans far beyond careers. I help people with relationships. I became a marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay. Very nice. Very nice. That's very interesting. I love that you facilitate someone feeling like, oh, the way you put it, they hit a brick wall. Like they may be in a career, like you said, you were very competent in your careers. They may be competent, they may be successful by other people's terms, but inside they just know something, it must be something that feels better than this because it doesn't feel totally good to me, right? It feels like something's missing. So, and a lot of times we do let the people who are looking in on the outside who say, "Oh, that's a good job. You're doing good. Why are you complaining?" We kind of sometimes listen to those voices too much. So it's great to have a space to come to where someone understands, yeah, it looks good. Yeah, it's you're making good money. Yeah, you know how to do what you're doing, but you want to be more than that. You deserve to be fulfilled in what you do.
Right. And
So,
I'm so glad that you said that because a large part of what I work with some of my clients on is societal expectations.
mm,
And now that judgment's never going away.
yeah.
It's never going away.
Hmm.
When I left, my last corporate role it was a Fortune 10 company.
Hmm.
So it was a huge opportunity that a lot of people don't get.
Right.
And even my family, when I told them I'm leaving and I'm taking Mahogany full time, and they were like, "What? You're
Hmm.
doing?" And
Yes.
so, mind you, that judgment is never going to go away.
Right.
What it is how we internalize that judgment.
Hmm.
If we are confident in what it is that we're doing, then the judgment, it's like, I receive it. I understand why you're saying this, and okay.
Right.
And
Right.
being okay with saying okay. Yeah. Because societal expectations it'll hold you back. Boy, I
Yes, it
tell you.
will. Yes, it will. I was speaking with someone, another entrepreneur the other day, and she was discussing how in her family, they had a history and a culture of being afraid of poverty.
Hmm.
So clinging to anything that will keep you from poverty. So she was talking about her challenge of it's exactly what we're discussing, leaving a job to start a business and everyone around you asking why would you give this up for that? Because in their mind and in their experience, they're thinking the worst could happen. And, who would want to step out and risk that worst? Because it is a risk. Starting a business is a risk. There are no certainties. And I say that we are brave souls that step out to do that. We are being brave and bold because not everyone, I mean, a lot of people have great ideas. A lot of people are very creative, but not everyone will be brave enough to step into whatever that purpose is for them. They will instead stay in that comfort zone.
Yeah, it is absolutely a risk.
Hmm.
The same goes for, when we invest in the market, right? No risk, no reward.
Hmm.
And it is a very courageous thing for anybody to step out on their passion and take this entrepreneurial pursuit. And it's, a funny thing about what you just said is a lot of it is shifting your mindset, right?
Yeah.
And understanding that yes, there is risk there. And I had a business coach, when I still have a business coach, different woman now. Um, but she would tell me all the time, like, Candice, there is no right time. Like, are you waiting for that moment where you know with all certainty
Mm,
that you're not going to end up in a cardboard box under a bridge somewhere? And realistically, I'm like, yes, that's what I'm afraid of. And I need
right,
certainty that I'm not gonna, foreclose on my mortgage and end up in a cardboard box. Like nobody wants that.
right.
And then she got me thinking, well, Candice, what'd you do? What do you have? What you do before you decided to launch this business? And I thought about it. And at the end of the day, I'm employable.
Mm,
I am
mhm,
employable. I'm educated. I'm good at what I used to do. I'm employable.
right,
So even if, and I
right,
have all the confidence in the world in
right.
what I'm doing and in my business, but in the event that something goes wrong and this
Mhm,
business does not last and
right.
it's not sustainable, I'll go back to work and I'll try again.
There you go.
And so it's a matter of shifting your mindset and just knowing that where there is a will, there is a way. And
Ah,
right now, there's a will, there's a way. And in the event that things don't go the way that I foresee them going,
uh-huh.
I'll try again.
Hmm. I love that. I love that you shared that because to your point, a lot of times we sit in the extremes. We sit in a total loss,
Hmm.
right? What's going to happen if I totally lose it, everything? But it's great to remind ourselves that we have options. We have skills, we have knowledge, we have capabilities that we
Yes.
had before we went into the entrepreneur cycle. And just because the first one might not go the way we want to, it doesn't mean we can't come back and try again.
Yes.
Right. So that's like expanding our vision beyond, I'm so afraid to take this step because it might not go right. Well, what if it doesn't? You
Hmm.
can come back around and go again. So I'm glad you shared that because a lot of people don't take that first step because they can't get past that fear.
Hmm.
So how many years has Mahogany been going strong?
Yeah. Mahogany's been in business now for just over 4 years. So
Oh,
not quite five yet. But
great.
I'm
Getting
feeling really
there.
good. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. So, what would you say is something that you've seen pretty prevalent in your services that you offer that is a challenge for, um, I would say, for successful women?
Mhm. There's a few things that I think I see often that are
Mhm.
themes. And these are very common things. These are things that we see all the time. If you go to any women's conferences, you hear women talk about imposter syndrome.
Uh-huh.
That comes up very, very common.
Hmm.
Um, the not speaking up, that comes
Uh-huh.
up very, very, very often. I
Hmm.
was just recently at the Pennsylvania Women's Conference, and I was sitting down having a conversation with a young professional, and she said, my biggest challenge right now is that I know, like, I have the competence. I know exactly what the answer is to whatever the challenge is that we're having in this meeting. And she says, I don't say anything. Somebody else will say something. And then I go home and I'll ruminate over it all night long. Why didn't you
Uh-huh.
say anything? Like, you knew the answer. You knew the answer.
Uh-huh.
And so, a lot of it that comes from a lot of different things. A little bit of it could be confidence, a little bit could be, just our personality type, which is what I help uh, successful women with, is
Hmm.
understanding some of their core personality characteristics and some of their blockers and their weaknesses so that they can overcome them. Because
Mm.
a lot of times these things might just be innate for us, the way that we hold ourselves back and we don't recognize it.
Right.
So those are a couple of things, confidence, imposter syndrome. I think some of the very things that we hear about all the time,
Right.
they're very, very prevalent in successful professional women.
Mm. So when we talk about imposter syndrome, because I have heard that a lot, And I think we deal with that a lot. What are some of the, I guess, some of the main causes for that, for us feeling like um, we are here, but do we really deserve to be here? Is something going to happen, tomorrow where someone discovers I'm not all that I present myself to be? Where does that stem from, or what causes that?
There's a lot of different things that cause that, but I think the main one that I see quite often is it comes from this is a form of limiting beliefs.
Mm,
We have the seat at the table, we're in this boardroom, and we're like, I'm here, but do I belong here? Am
mm,
I as smart as this person over here? Or, did I get here because of luck? And
mm-hmm,
those types of things that we tell ourselves, these negative self-talk, this tends to come from how we were raised.
mm,
A lot of times it comes from, and here's the thing that I don't think that a lot of people recognize. Our limits and beliefs, a lot of times, it comes from well-intended advice from people who actually love us.
mm-hmm,
Nobody tells us these things as a mechanism for, setting us up for a future of holding ourselves back.
mm-hmm,
They don't intend for us to play small.
mm-hmm,
Our parents and our grandparents and our aunts and all of the people that we grew up around, they might say things like, are you sure you want to do that?
mm.
Or, be careful.
Right,
Or what about the safety of this? And they
right.
tell us these things because they care about us. They
Mm-hmm,
love us. They want us to make wise decisions. But what tends to happen is we receive it in a way that it's not intended.
uh-huh,
We internalize it, and then we start to tell ourselves these things so much that we start to believe them. And then they start to shape our professional careers. And we start
got
to
it.
hear these things of like, you know, am I ready?
Uh-huh,
So, I think that I think it's deep rooted. It's very deep rooted.
yes.
And sometimes you just have to explore it with either a therapist, a coach, even a very good friend where you can say, I don't know why I feel like this. I think just verbalizing it,
Mm,
talking about it,
mm-hmm.
and normalizing the fact that we have these feelings
Yes, yes.
is the first step at starting to overcome them because
Mm,
often we feel like we're the only ones that feel like that.
yes, I agree. Yeah, that's a very great point. Most of the times we think it's just us, so we don't verbalize it because no one else feels this way but me. So who can I talk to about it? That's why I
Exactly.
think coaching and consulting in therapy are greatly needed
Mhm.
across the board, but especially when people are going or attempting to achieve something that's great and something that they have no pattern for. A lot of times when we step out as entrepreneurs, we are the first business owner we know in our family.
Mhm.
So there isn't a road that's been paved or carved out for us. We have to dig the road and walk it at the same time, right?
Mhm.
So, in doing that, what it takes to at a certain point when you are feeling like you're stuck in your business, usually it's personal growth. It's a personal growth issue that you never knew you had, but you realize I can't go any further. I wonder why. And that's why I think the entire industry of business coaching is so necessary because um, over here we have a therapist. I think every human being should have a therapist. We
Yes.
have a therapist we can talk to about things, but over here, we need someone with that business and professional mindset that can guide us through the challenges we need to confront, to go
Yes.
further. Like we may be playing small, saying it's because we need to take it one step at a time, but someone else looking at us and knowing the truth would be, no, 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 why don't you go try this to get us
Yeah.
to get out of that comfort zone? So I think business coaching is so necessary. How do you think the industry of business coaching has changed, say, in the last 5 to 10 years?
Mhm. Yeah, I think well first let me say yes to all of that you just said, as a personal growth coach, I entrepreneurship is the biggest personal development journey you could ever go on. You learn so
Yeah.
many things about yourself that you
Mhm.
never thought that you knew.
No.
Um, but one of the things that I think had really changed is it's becoming more holistic, right? There's a lot of mindset that is taking place in business coaching now, where I think business coaches used to focus on more of the strategy,
Mhm.
right? They used to focus on helping entrepreneurs or business owners. They don't have to be solopreneurs or anything like that, but um, helping them with their business strategy and
Right.
launching and growing and scaling,
Right.
eventually. And now it is a lot more of that internal game.
Hmm.
There's a lot of 50-50. I'd say it's pretty equal internal game versus the external game, which
Right.
is the strategy and stuff. So I think that business coaching now is just becoming a bit more holistic,
Ah,
whole
right.
person.
Right. Right. I think so too. To your point, it's more than about the numbers and your business structure and your 10-year plan for your business, and it also integrates how are you going as a person?
Mhm.
What are you, how are you
All of that is
developing?
important, right? Yeah,
Exactly.
because we can have the numbers, we can have our annual goals, our quarterly goals, but if we are so stuck in this cycle of my cycle that I had to break was perfectionism. Like that was my kryptonite. I felt
Ah,
like I couldn't do anything if it wasn't perfect. Like
mm,
my name is on this, my face is on this. If
right.
it's not perfect, I can't do it. And
Hmm.
I really had to work with my own coach to overcome that. And they're like, Candice, half the time people don't even realize when you make a mistake, or
Uh-huh.
they don't notice that they're not paying that close of attention.
Right.
And so once I started to realize that this perfectionism is more of a me thing,
Uh-huh.
and it's like, the people that are seeing this, they don't notice, and two, if they do notice, they don't care
Right.
because they just
Right.
see me as human. And
Right.
so once I started to realize those things, it was way easier for me to overcome that. So, um, yeah, I think it's important to really grow as humans and
Hmm.
individuals in addition to growing as business owners and growing our business.
Right. Right. I love that. So in your business journey, what would you say has been one of your top business challenges, maybe something that challenged you when you first got started, and
Mhm.
how did you deal with it and move beyond it?
Yeah. I think my top challenge when I first started out was, and I think a lot of business owners deal with something similar,
Uh-huh.
is really having clarity on who you serve, what you do, and how you do it.
Yeah.
Because everything, like we may have in our mind a very specific picture. It might be very clear, and you're like, I got this product, I have this
Hmm.
service, like I'm going to put this thing out into the world. But then when you sit down and you are trying to message it, you're trying to communicate it in networking events, and you're stumbling over your words, and
Yes.
you're trying to put stuff on social media and it just
Yes.
doesn't land right. Like it's
Uh-huh.
not reaching the people you want to reach. And so I think that was my biggest challenge, was
Mm.
just getting that clarity and getting the messaging right. And it took a long time. It took a
Uh-huh.
long time to get there. And some of my peers, fellow entrepreneurs, when we sitting around and we're talking, they're like, oh my goodness. Like so even if you look at branding experts now, right?
Uh-huh.
What are the things that they're talking about? They're like, let me help you with your messaging. Let me
Uh-huh.
help you get crystal clear.
Right.
Why? Because that is a challenge that I think every entrepreneur faces.
I
That was
agree.
my biggest challenge. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. That is really a big challenge. And when you think about it, you think it would be simple, like
You
what
think it would
you
be.
know what you're selling and you know what you're putting out there. So just say it. But
Yeah,
it could take iteration after iteration after iteration to really get clear on that,
indeed.
especially to define your target market because most of the time we start out with everybody.
Everybody.
Anybody who needs this and anybody who needs that, and we're trying to do seven different things at one time to serve everybody. And I think part of the process of getting that message clear makes us face that process. Okay, that's too broad, right?
Mhm.
Maybe I have too many things in here. Maybe I need to narrow it down and get more focus on who I serve and what I'm serving them, what my service is for them, or my product, who is it really for?
Mhm.
So doing that mission statement, having that elevator speech, like you said, being at networking events and having it roll off your tongue, this is what I do. It takes a while. It
It
really
does take a
does.
while.
And if you look back at from day one, just say in a couple of months' time, but day one to I say 6 months' time, it's going to be worded really differently from what you thought it was to start with because you learned so much about I got to define my target market. I got to envision an avatar for my services or my products. And what does that look like?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you said that because going back to your point about, having too much or being too
Mm,
broad, you
yes.
know, you know that old saying, if you're trying to serve everybody, you're
Mm,
serving nobody.
yes.
And
Yes.
that avatar piece that you just spoke about was that's when it really started to get clear for me is
Mm,
having that one avatar because yeah, I can have this target market that
right.
I'm trying to reach, but who is that person?
Yes.
Who is that one woman, like, so that she can see herself
Mm,
in my messaging, in my statements.
yes.
And I
That
think
part.
I think what I was so afraid of in the very beginning was if I make it too specific and I'm
Come on.
only speaking to one person,
Come on.
then it's like I'm not gonna make any money
There you
because
go. That's it.
like there's millions of people on this globe, and how is that one person gonna find me
That's
in
it.
all of the noise of all the other businesses that's going on? And
Yes.
so my business coach was like, Candice, you're looking at it completely wrong. That person needs to see themselves in
Right.
what you're putting out into the world. And
Yes.
believe me,
Mm,
there's more than just that one person. Just create
yes.
that avatar around that person.
Hmm.
And then as they start to see themselves in it, they're like, that sounds like me. That's
Yes.
exactly what I would say.
Yes. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful. Very good points. And you are so right. We are so afraid that if we narrow it down to this specific target market, then we're going to miss all the other people who could possibly use the other 10 things we know how to do,
Right.
right? So, and we need to make money now because we're just getting
Yes.
started. So we need to be able to do whatever anybody shows up and they want. I can do that and I can do that and I can do that too. And we end up doing not much of anything
Yes.
because we don't put the right energy and enough energy and focus in one thing to get it right enough,
Mhm.
to be prepared enough to service or create a product that someone really wants, which is the way I
Absolutely.
hear. And it's
Just out there
really,
spinning wheels.
yes, exactly. And it really boils down to that I just need to make a sale. If I can make it
Yes.
off of this thing that I can do or that thing that I can do, I just need to bring some money in. But we are sabotaging ourselves with that kind of mindset. So yeah, we have to accept that we got to narrowing it down is what breeds the success of our business.
Indeed, indeed.
Yes.
And that's why I appreciate, your platform so much
Mhm.
is to have entrepreneurs being able to have these types of discussions. Cause I'm telling you, the more we keep things to ourselves, the
Yes.
more, we're not able to help others who may be like, dang, that's exactly what I'm experiencing.
Right,
It's the
right.
same
And
way we need to talk to our clients. We need to be
yes,
able to verbalize what goes on as a business owner so that we can continue to help others that are just
yes,
launching and just starting out. So I really
yeah.
appreciate this discussion.
Thank you. In real life, when I started out, I was trying to service everyone. I
Mhm.
was like, everybody needs some information. And
Mhm.
then it got to the point where I realized, okay, I I know what I need. And I know there have to be someone out there just like me who needs the same thing. So
Mhm.
let me focus on that.
Hmm. Yeah, I
So
was trying to serve everybody as
yeah.
well because, as I'm talking and I'm still saying, women and what she needs, because
Uh-huh.
I do primarily serve women
Hmm.
who are in male dominated environments, but men need personal growth too.
Uh-huh.
So if a man comes to me and they're like,
Hmm.
Candice, I want to take the Enneagram or I want to work with you, like, yeah, I will
Right.
also work with you. But my avatar, my
Right.
target market is women who find themselves in male dominated environments.
Right. Right. And you will, to your point, definitely get those outliers, like those other people who want your service or your product that are not your specific target, but they will still want your service or your product. So that is definitely possible.
Absolutely.
So, Candice, what would you say in your childhood informed what you're doing now? Can you think back to any particular pattern, experience, or just the nature of who you were as a child that kind of informs or is in line with who you are now?
Sure can. Sure can. I feel like it will always come back to something in your childhood. I'm
Uh,
telling you, that thing that you feel in your heart that you're going to be when you grow up,
yes.
it is always going to circle back to that one way or another. Like, listen to that little thing. And so I think about this all the time, actually, because um, I teach a course on limiting beliefs. And so I talk about limiting beliefs all the time and some of the
Uh-huh.
things that tie into it. So when I was a child, I used to love teaching. I used to line up my little Cabbage Patch dolls and, my little stuffed animals and Barbies, and I would put paper and pen in front of them or pencil in front of them. And I would just teach my stuffed animals as a
Uh-huh.
child. And then, as I got older and, was starting to think about a career and sitting down with your guidance counselor and your parents and all the stuff,
Right.
and they start to tell you those careers where you're going to make money at,
Right.
doctor, lawyer, financial services, like
Uh-huh.
all of those things where you're going to make those big bucks. That's where limits and beliefs start.
Um,
You're like, you hear these things in middle school and high school, and you're like, oh, well, if I want to make money and I want to be successful, I have to be one of these golden professions.
right.
So that's where limits and beliefs start to creep in.
Right.
And so throughout my young adulthood, I felt like I needed to be in one of these professions that make good money.
Right.
And so
Right.
teachers aren't making those big dollars like a
Right.
lawyer might be making. And so
Right.
I put that to the side, even though I
Hmm.
love teaching my little
Yes.
dolls.
Yes.
And so it came kind of full circle because now when I went into my OD career, I was facilitating, which is essentially
It
teaching. You're
is.
teaching adults.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what I do right now. So,
Mm.
when I went out of corporate, I continued facilitating workshops. And it is the thing that brings me the most joy.
I love that.
And so it's like I can do one-on-one coaching, I can do, my Enneagram and do a debrief on that. But when I am standing in front of a group of people in a workshop
Uh-huh.
and they are just getting it and the vibe is vibing in the room and everybody's learning something, that's where I shine. And
Ah.
I think back to that little girl, Candice, who was sitting there with her little Cabbage Patch dolls lined
Uh-huh.
up, and I'm just like, it came back full circle. I'm
It
teaching.
did.
I'm just not teaching young people, I'm teaching
Right.
adults.
Right.
But that thing that brought me joy as a child is what's bringing me joy as an adult.
Got it. Got it. That's beautiful. I love that. Yeah. So that that joy that you tapped into when you were younger never went away. And to your point, the logic of what's going to make you more money. And like you said, it's people trying their they're coming from a place of trying to help you be successful, right?
Yes.
Trying to help you be successful. So you should do this or this or this or that because you'll be successful, you have money,
Mm-hmm.
and it kind of turns off that what do I innately feel like I love doing though, right? It's kind of
Mm-hmm.
like that really don't matter. You need to do this over one of these at 1, 2, 3, 4,
Right.
right?
Right.
So,
That's
but
how it just like that's how it dims your light without even
yeah,
realizing that people are dimming your light. They don't
yes,
intentionally want to
no,
dim your light. They're
mm,
trying to help you be successful, but it's
right,
like, my light got a little dim, but I
yeah.
changed that bulb out,
Okay, all
brighten that
right.
sucker right back up.
Sounds wonderful. I love that. I love that. And building your business, what would you say along your business journey? You say you're close to year number 4, and we're rooting for you to get to year number 5 because that's a prime year. What would you say has been a resource that you utilize in developing and growing your business that has helped you the most?
Mm. The biggest one I would say is to find a coach and also just peers.
Mm,
I think that the entrepreneurial journey is not something that people can embark on alone.
mm,
You need somebody in your circle, somebody to help you make sense of things,
yes,
somebody that you can talk to who will understand it. Because, yes, we have our partners, our spouses, our parents, our sisters. We have, people in our lives who love us and care about us,
right.
but they don't understand the way, not unless if they're also entrepreneurs, then they'll understand. But you need somebody that is going to really understand at a deep
Yes.
level what it is that you're going through, what it is that you're experiencing. And that's where that like sigh of relief comes from. And so I think the biggest resource that I utilized was having a business coach and then having a community of other entrepreneurs. I just had somebody, I was in a community with a young lady last year,
Uh-huh.
and she sent me a text message and she said, Candice, I'm getting ready to launch this 5-day challenge and I'm getting all in my head about it. Can you listen to this first episode and let me know how it sounds to you? And I was like, absolutely. And so she just needed that little bit of extra, like, get out of your head. You're
Right,
starting off, perfectly fine. I would tweak this one little thing. And then she was like off on the running. But
right.
it's just having that community of somebody that you can reach out to you when you get a little bit stuck. Because
Hmm.
if we're in this by ourselves, she wouldn't have had anybody to send that message
No.
to. And she would have sat there and spun her wheels and stayed in her head. And
Yes.
so I think, yeah, a great resource is a community and a coach.
I love that. I love that. Now, what would you say, because I know oftentimes we need a coach, but we won't get a coach because one, we may be thinking about the cost of it,
Mhm.
not understanding the benefit of it. And two, we might not understand the process of it. Like we may be thinking, well, what can a coach help me with? Because we don't understand what our problem really is,
Mhm.
we can't see anyone having a solution to it, right? So let's say for the average businesswoman out there that feels like she's stuck, but think it has nothing to do with personal growth or why I need a coach to help me with, what would be a message or information that would assist that entrepreneur to make a better decision?
Mhm. That's a really good question. And I'm going to tell you the first thing that comes to mind for me is that's the reason why, as coaches, our messaging needs to make sure that it's crisp
Mm,
so that we're not just saying you need a coach,
uh-huh.
but we're saying, have you laid awake at night
Mm,
because the algorithms on Instagram is limiting the reach of your social media posts? Like, we need to speak to specific challenges
yeah.
so that the people that are struggling know that they're struggling, because the problem is we don't always know that we have a problem
Right.
until we hear our problem. We're like, oh my goodness,
Yes.
that's what's happening for me. So that's the first thing that comes to mind for me, is
Okay.
like not on the entrepreneur side, but
Right.
actually on the coach's side, to really make sure that we are speaking to the
Mm.
people who need to hear the message that we're putting out there.
Mm.
And then to answer your question more directly, for the woman, the business owner out there who might not see the benefit or the value of a
Mhm.
coach, what I would say is compare. You have to look at the cost. Like, what is it costing you to be stuck?
Mm.
Because often we sit here and we'll look at a price tag and we'll say, well, that's really expensive, right?
Mhm.
And I'm a new business owner. I don't have that type of revenue right now,
Mhm.
to invest in this thing. Ask yourself, if I stay stuck for 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, I'm not going to bring in any revenue.
Mm.
But if I invest in this coach and I work with this person for 3 months, and they're promising me outcomes, and also go with questions.
Mhm.
Always go with questions. Ask them, what can I expect to take away from this? But it's like, think about the cost benefit, and do you want to stay stuck or do you want to move forward? Because a lot of times we might not know what our problem is, but we definitely know if we're stuck.
Right.
If you
Right.
sit down in front of your computer and nothing's coming out and you're just staring at the screen, or you go clicking from tab to tab and
Mhm.
your productivity is low, I might not know why I'm stuck or what my problem is.
Right.
But what I do know is that I'm not productive. I'm not
Right.
moving anything forward.
Right.
I'm not converting clients. Something is going on. And
Right.
maybe I need to talk to somebody to figure out what that might be.
Mm. I love that. You got some very good points. Very good points there. So yeah, we know when we're stuck. We might not know what the solution is, but we know we need to find a solution.
Yes.
Two, we know when we're sitting there trying to figure out what to do next and how it's going to help us. Is this going to work or would that work? And if we don't have the answer, who are we going to go to for that answer, right?
Right. Right.
And then what's the value of the coaching to us? Meaning that we have to look at what do we want to get from it. Like you said, show up with questions. First,
Mhm.
we have to
Mhm.
have that self conversation. Okay, what is it that I'm looking for?
Yes.
What do I want my result to be?
Yes.
And where have I seen someone speaking to that result?
Yes.
Right? So if my
Absolutely.
struggle is, I think I don't know enough about social media, where have I seen someone speaking to a solution for that?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's the starting place. It might not be where we end up, but that's where we start. And by process of elimination, we can eventually get to where we need to go. But
Absolutely.
yeah, I think another thing we need to realize is that the most successful people in the world have coaches.
Yes.
Oprah
And
Winfrey
that's
is a
something, yep,
coach.
that's something that we really need to take to heart. Some of the
Yeah.
most successful people in the world have coaches.
So
Yes.
everyone you're looking at that you think are very successful, they realize they needed help from someone else
Mm-hmm.
to get to the level where they are and to stay there. They realize I don't know everything. I may be good at this, but in order to keep going, I need some type of assistance. I
Mm-hmm.
need someone who knows more to help me. So it's not a a, a weakness,
Mm-hmm.
right? To say I
Yeah.
need a coach. I need someone to help me. I can't figure this out.
Yeah.
I need help. We
And
start
that's a
with that.
realization that we have to come to,
Hmm.
right? So
Yes.
I think another challenge, it's easy for me to think about the things that happened when I first launched my business because I'm still so new, only
Uh-huh.
being about 4 years in. So it's easy for me to recollect some of these things. But another thing is, the same way we feel like initially we can do everything, and then we're
Right.
like, hold on, let the experts do what they do.
Right.
I let me get a social media manager. Let me get somebody to build this website. Let me, find somebody, a bookkeeper to keep my books. Listen, if I'm a coach, what I know how to do is coach.
Right.
Now I know how to do the things in my business, but it might take me hours to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I outsourced and I let the experts do what they're experts in,
Yes.
then I can focus on the things that I shine and I glow at doing. And it's the
Right.
same thing with a coach. And it's like, if I'm sitting here and I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again and I'm not getting results, then let me bring in an expert to help me get out of this cycle, get unstuck, because
Right.
me staying in this cycle by myself is not getting me anywhere.
No,
And
it's
so
not.
it's just a realization that we have to come to. It's like if it's taking you too long to get
Right.
progress,
Mm-hmm.
if you're stuck, if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, these are some of the things where you just got to recognize, all right, it's time for me to get out of my head and stop trying to do this by myself and bring in some reinforcement
Right.
and have somebody support me. And again, that's where community comes from too.
Very good
Having
point.
conversations, and people will tell you, hey, you might want to try to work with somebody, or maybe I've worked with this person and these are some of the
Right.
outcomes that I've received.
Right. Very good information. Very good information. So tell me, Candice, what do you do on those days when you are in your business and you just feel like, I don't want to do this anymore? It's been one of those weeks, months, days, and I'm just frustrated. And why did I even start this business?
Mhm.
What do you do?
Well, I was about to say you asked the wrong person. What do I do? Because listen, I'm a meditation
Mm,
teacher. I do Reiki and I also do sound baths. And so
okay.
I pause.
Mm,
I pause. I don't sit there and get stuck in my head. When I get frustrated,
right.
I close this laptop
Mm,
because if it's there now, it's gonna be there when I open my computer back up.
right.
Like I will not stay in a place of frustration or being stuck. If
Right.
I get to a space of like it's frustrating, I'm not signing enough clients, nothing is going right,
Uh-huh.
my social media is all messed up, I will close that computer.
Uh-huh.
I will step away and I'll sit right over there on my little meditation mat
Uh-huh.
and I'll take a break. And you know what? I encourage everybody to do whatever feels right to them. Like a break is so important.
Yes.
And I'm speaking as a therapist now, put my therapist hat on. And
Mm-hmm.
so breaks are important.
Mm,
Whether you get outside and just take a walk or, just know that in 2 hours or tomorrow, if you need a day, just give yourself the time and the space to refresh your mind, rejuvenate your spirit, remember your why. I have my why. It's right here on my I created a screensaver on my cell phone.
I love
And for people
that.
listening to your audio podcast, they can't see it, but you can.
Yes.
I have my why of my business on the
Oh,
screensaver of my phone because what's one thing we take with us everywhere we go? Our
definitely.
phones,
Yes.
our phones.
Mm-hmm.
And so if I get frustrated, I look at that, pick up my phone, and remember why I started this business in the first place. So just take a
Mm,
break. That's what I do.
I love that. I love that. So how long have you been doing a meditation and what inspired you to start meditating as
Yeah.
a practice?
Yeah. What inspired me to start meditation? I'd say what really inspired me was I wanted to be able to I wanted to be able to connect with myself, right? And understand where I'm going, why, like what my motivations, what my passions, and I just wanted to really connect with myself and know that I'm doing things for myself and not for
Mm-hmm.
other people.
Mm-hmm.
And meditation really has like silence and just sitting with yourself is such a gem. Like it is such a gem. And I know a lot of people, they say, I can't focus. I can't quiet my mind. I can't this, that, and the other. And then there are some people who choose to not meditate because they don't like the silence because they're afraid of what may come up.
Right.
in that space of silence.
Right.
And what I tell those people who say that they can't, because I'm actually a meditation teacher,
Uh-huh.
and when people, are on that path of like, I can't meditate, or, I'm afraid of that silence, I tell them that's even more reason why you need it.
Mm.
That's even more reason why you need it. If you find that you're afraid of what may come up, or, what you may tell yourself, or if something comes up, then you then have to hold yourself to action.
Ah.
You have to hold yourself accountable. And so there's always ways of maneuvering through what might come up. Therapy, coaching, just acknowledging,
Right.
whatever it is that comes up. There's so many ways to navigate through those things. But I tell people that's even more reason why you need it. If you're afraid
Right.
of it, then just sit down and see what actually comes up, because all of those things might be deep down inside of you. You don't even know if they're deep down inside of you.
Right.
So I've been meditating for some years, and it's really, really, really a gem for me.
Mm.
I love it.
Right.
And just recently I Oprah was a keynote speaker at the Boston Conference for Women. And she said she also hears people who say, that they don't have the time to
Uh-huh.
sit with themselves. And I still remember, she said, there's always the bathroom. For all the people that say that you don't have time, you make time to use the bathroom.
That's
And if
right.
you can make time to use the bathroom, then you can sit there and you can be in silence and be with your
Right.
thoughts while you're in the bathroom.
Right.
And I thought about that and I was like, you know what? There is nobody on the planet who can say that they don't have time to meditate, because
Exactly.
everybody
Exactly.
uses the restroom.
Right. Right. Very good point.
If
Very good
Oprah can
point.
meditate, you can meditate.
Exactly. Exactly. Because we know she's busy.
Yes.
What would you say, Candice, is your superpower?
Mm. I love that you asked this question. Exactly what I'm doing, right? So my superpower actually is, and it comes from my Enneagram type. Um, I have this ability to take perspective. Like I really, and a lot of what I started doing over the course of my career ties into this, right? I became a
Okay.
marriage and family therapist because
Uh-huh.
it's easy for me to take perspective.
Ah.
And so workshops in group settings, in my couples counseling sessions, it's so easy for me to take perspectives, synthesize the information, and translate it to another person. That's my
Ah.
superpower.
Got
And
it.
so a part of a big part of what I do, when I'm coaching people, is I'm able to take their perspective, synthesize that information, relay it back to them in a way that kind of makes sense for them, and
Mm-hmm.
do it in my workshops. I absolutely love that about myself. It's an ability I think I've had since I was very, very young.
Ah, that's a great talent to have.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to and to be able to see all sides and then interpret it in a way that
Yeah.
they can see each other's side.
Each other side.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. One of the challenges that I've noticed a lot in, especially for entrepreneurs, talking about your entrepreneur journey, is that we have an issue with pricing our services or our
Mm-hmm.
product. Like we just get challenged in thinking that it has to be, which ties into our conversation about having your avatar,
Mm-hmm.
your target market customer avatar. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
we start off thinking that it has to be something everyone can afford to pay. And then when we realize what we need to earn to stay in business, right? It don't have to be this rate if I'm going to stay in business. We kind of get uncomfortable with asking for that, what that price is, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Have you had any challenges around that? If so, or if not, how do you handle that?
Yes. So, yes, I have had challenges with that. Do I still have that challenge? No, because I've learned to get out of my client's pocketbook.
Ah,
It is not my responsibility to determine what somebody can or cannot afford.
mm,
I set my prices for what's going to sustain me being able to live the lifestyle that I live and for me to make the revenue that I intend to make over the course of my year, my annual goals, my revenue goals. And I set my prices.
Uh-huh.
And when I have when I have a sales call with somebody, I have learned that you let them know what your service. I'm a service professional, so for people who have products,
Right.
whatever your thing is on the shelf, you put your pricing on the shelf, and you just embrace the power of silence.
Mm.
Embrace the power of silence. A lot of people don't like silence and they feel
Yes.
really uncomfortable with silence.
Yes.
But
Yes.
it's like when I talk to somebody and I tell them, this is how I can serve you. They tell me what their challenges are. We're having this dialogue back and forth, and we both acknowledge that what I'm offering can help you. You've
Right.
acknowledged it, I've acknowledged it.
Right.
And then I put the price out there,
Uh-huh.
and then I just shut up.
Right.
And I
Right.
shut up. And
Right.
and whatever comes from that, right? If they recognize that I really truly can help them, then they'll find a way.
Uh-huh.
They'll find a way. And I think that we do that in so many aspects of our lives.
Mm.
If we go somewhere and, we have, let's say, a gala that we want to go to, and
Mm-hmm.
we find this beautiful ball gown, we'll find a way. We
Mm-hmm.
will find a way to get this ball gown if this is the one that we really want. And the same thing, if I know that something is going to move me forward in my life, if I know that, both of my children are college aged,
Uh-huh.
you know, my daughter, out of all the colleges she got accepted to, she chose the most expensive one. We
Uh-huh.
found a way. I found a way to get my child educated. If
Mm-hmm.
there is something that is going to serve me, my business and my life, I'm going to find a way. And I know
Right.
that my clients are the same way.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing is detaching yourself from the outcome.
Uh-huh.
That's the biggest thing. It's like,
Yes.
I can't stay attached to if this person purchases from me or not.
No.
That's the biggest thing. Get out of
Great.
their pocketbook.
Right. Right. Great information. And to tag on to that, it's everybody won't say yes, but enough people will.
Yes.
I mean, that's the mindset we have to have. Everybody
Yes.
won't say yes, but enough people will.
But enough people
Mhm.
will. The
Yeah,
right people will. Yeah.
right. Exactly.
Mhm.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, Candice, it has been wonderful spending time with you today, having you share your journey and the impactful services that you give and you offer. The creative way that your journey started from when you were young, teaching your stuffed animals to what you're
Yes.
doing now. I'm loving to share your knowledge and your skills in group settings. That's wonderful to hear. As we close out, we always ask our guests four fun questions just to get to know them personally. So I'm going
Mhm.
to start that with you now. And my first one is going to be, what was your favorite childhood game?
Ooh, what was my favorite childhood game? So I grew up in the era where we used to get outside.
Yes.
So I actually used to really like playing Simon Says. I used to love Simon Says
Ah.
because I was fast. I used to win that
Oh,
game.
wonderful, wonderful. So, if you could speak with anyone from history, who would you choose to have a conversation with and why?
Somebody from history. So I would actually choose my aunt Sharon, my mom's sister. My aunt Sharon, she passed away, but she was just, oh my goodness. I'm like her twin. You
Ah.
would think that I was her child instead of my mom's child. But I know that she would be incredibly proud of what I'm doing right now. And so I'd love to be able to have a conversation with her and be like, Aunt Sharon, look at me now.
That's beautiful, beautiful. What is your favorite meal or favorite food right now?
Mm, seafood. seafood
Ah.
all day long. Every birthday, if somebody want to take me out, let's go and get some really good seafood. Love it.
Oh, sounds wonderful. Who was your favorite teacher and why? And this is grade school,
Ooh.
college, anytime, any place.
Hmm. Hmm. So my favorite teacher, and her name is eluding me right now, but when I was in high school,
Mhm.
and I don't even do hair or anything like that, but one of my electives was a cosmetology class.
Uh-huh.
And my cosmetology teacher, she was just so real. You could just talk to her about anything. And
Oh.
it really was like a shop. We would
Oh.
go in college, and even though she was teaching us technique and all of the things, she was just like, it was like going into a shop and having girl talk. And
Oh, wow.
she was really great. She was really professional, but she was just so real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice, nice. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, okay, again, we'd like to thank you for spending your time with us today, sharing all that you shared. And as always, we want to wish you the very best of joy, health, and wealth as you continue your successful business journey.
Indeed. Thank you so much, Lynette. This was such a great conversation, and I thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.